Welcome back to Studio 5. Spice up the long winter afternoons by pulling out the art supplies. Your kids will feel like real artists if they can paint on a canvas, and you will love the keepsake result. Even if you're not an artist, you can guide them to success. Laurie White is here to show us how. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
It's true. Painting is exciting. It's a great project that I think we all kind of get stars in our eyes as we think about, but it can be tricky to pull off with kids.
It can be, especially if you're going to use a canvas and acrylic paints. So when you're using watercolor, it's okay if you make a mistake and you throw it away.
No big.
But when you give your child a canvas and say, we're going to do something great today, there's more pressure for adults and kids to make it work. And so I want to give you a couple tips, because working with canvas, you're going to be using an opaque paint where you're building up layers. So you're either using acrylic, and this is just the craft acrylic. This is just from the craft store. I think everybody has some in their house. Or your kids probably just, you might have bought your kid an art kit for Christmas, or Santa brought them an art kit, and you have all these little tubes of acrylic and you don't know what to do with them. So this is where you pull out the acrylic or the tempera or the craft acrylic.
You're great about giving us the do's and the don'ts, and you're a firm believer in guided art experiences. So we're not just handing over a paintbrush and saying go to town. There's space for that, there's time for that. But like you said, the pressure's on with a canvas piece. So where do we start? How do we set them up for success?
Okay, great question, because when it is a canvas and you're kind of expecting, like, do a really great job, we're gonna hang it up, we wanna guide them a little bit more. So one thing that helps is when people paint, they've got this white canvas and they go right in and start painting. But the problem is that acrylic is opaque, so you paint something and it's still wet, and then you paint something again and paint something again, and really the kids just keep mixing and you end up with mud.
Suddenly it's a brown mess.
Right, exactly. So when you want to have a great successful canvas experience, we're going to go backwards. So we're going to paint the background first, because the other thing that really makes the difference for a wonderful piece of art is if it's finished. So sometimes your children will do so good on the middle and they'll be so proud of it, and then they're like, I'm done. And you're like, wait, just go a little bit further.
Paintbrush drop.
Done, I love it. Or they cover the whole thing with black if they're little. So don't give them black paint. But what we want to do is do the background first, so that whatever they put in the middle, let's grab our aprons.
Apron up. I want you to show me
whatever
this.
they put in the middle, then we already have a background. It's gonna look done anyway. And what we're gonna do after the background is we're gonna create an outline. So it's almost like you're making your own coloring page, or you're making your own paint by number, because then they can take these opaque acrylics, fill in one space at a time, and come up with something great.
Love it. I want you to show me, I also want you to show me as the parent when to jump in, because we don't want to squash their creative ambition, but we also do want a piece that we could, treasure and put on the wall. So backdrop first.
Okay, so backdrop first. We're going to take less paint than you want. We're going to pick kind of a darker color, a medium, and then a white. And pick up your darkest one, so maybe, and give it a little shake. And in this, you honestly need less than you think. And so all I want you to do is just go like this with the dark. Okay, now grab your medium. So what we're doing by using 3 colors is we're creating interest. Instead of just one color, this is already going to kind of create interest and look finished and look, it's going to be wow, it's going to be wow.
Do you let them pick the colors, Laurie? Do you give them options?
They can pick the colors. Like when I was doing this adorable sample we can shoot to in a minute, if you see this purple coyote. Let's
look at it now.
Yeah, let's look at it. Okay, so this is my 6-year-old friend, Abby.
Sweet.
And I said, Abby, what's your favorite color? And she said purple, and I said, great, that's the color of the year. I watched yesterday.
Ultraviolet. Abby is on trend.
She's on trend. So we did the background first. And then this is the one part you have to be patient. Then you just have to let it dry. But if you're impatient like me, get the blow dryer out and blow it until you can't see a sheen. Or you can also put your hand on it. And if it's not cold, then it's not wet. If you put your hand down and it's slightly cold, it's still wet. Get your hairdryer.
Okay. So are we just blending at this point?
You'll also notice, though, that I stayed in the same color family. So you're using blues and greens because they're next to each other on the color wheel. I'm using orange and peach because they're next to each other. You would not want to take yellow and purple. Then you're going to get mud. So
I just learned this yesterday, and maybe this is why I didn't do well in art class growing up, but opposite ends of the color wheel make brown. Yeah,
and those are complementary. So that's why the yellow coyote looks so awesome on the purple. But when you're mixing your background colors, stay next to each other on the color wheel, okay? So now, Brooke, instead of going like this and everywhere, because then we'd just be making a new color, all I want you to do is lightly kind of start on one corner, and we just want to drag. So we still want to see the medium color, we want to see the dark color, we want to see a little bit of the white. And you can see how quick this is. I mean, really, this is a 30-second deal here.
Listen, I know we're talking about a kid's art project, but this is so fun.
I know, everybody loves to create.
Why is this so fun?
And the things I'm saying today, Brooke, this is not just, this is 4 to 104, okay?
I feel like I should sign up for your kids' art class.
You should.
I think I should do.
Everyone's like, you have to do an adult class one of these days, Laurie.
You do.
Yeah, we could have like a paint night video. You can host your own paint night. Okay, so within about 30 seconds, we've got the whole thing. Now, we can do this later, but I just want to show you guys. I just pick up the bottom, and then I just use the extra paint and just quickly go around, because that makes it finished too. Then you don't even have to get a frame for your artwork.
So that's a finishing detail Mom can jump in on.
Absolutely. This is a little bit harder for kids to hold without getting it everywhere. Okay,
right.
So you can quickly go around.
Beautiful.
That. Yeah.
Okay, now you said the next step is to create a shape or a silhouette. In the case of, let's say, a self-portrait, if a child we're challenging them to draw themselves, would you as the mom outline that for them?
No, I would have a paper next to them, and I would draw next to them while they drew on their canvas.
They're mimicking kind of your lines.
And you could, I love just picking up a Sharpie, okay? But you could say, let's use a colored pencil first, or a pencil, and then I can trace it for you in Sharpie. So Mom, that's a good thing for Mom to do, is trace. But like my 6-year-old friend Abby, I said, Abby, do you feel like you want a pencil, or do you just want to outline with a Sharpie? She goes, give me the Sharpie. And I was like, there's my girl. There's my girl.
Trendy and confident.
Yeah, confident.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so big thing right now is this whole peekaboo art. You don't have to draw the whole thing. There's like all this cactus and pineapple. So we're only going to draw a part of self-portrait is only from here up. So the first thing we're going to tell the kids is we want a circle. And if it's a portrait, we want it big enough that we can see. So we're going to draw a circle for the head, and then we're just going to draw our 2 lines for the neck.
And just to be clear, we would be drawing this on our dried
on your dried canvas. Yeah,
okay.
Great observation. Okay, and then you can literally, if they're young, you can literally just do this.
Shapes.
Okay, there's and then they can make this whatever. I'm talking about a really young kid. Older kids could make more shoulders, but we're just talking young. Okay, now the most important thing, Mom, eyes go in the middle, and so do the ears, okay? So let's go like this. Here's the middle. I'm just going to draw a curve and a curve.
Ears go in
okay,
the
we've
middle.
got ears. Eyes go where the ears are, okay? So we're going to just go like this and draw.
So that's teaching them placement and scale and.
Exactly. So we're just going to do this, and they can add their color. They can add the other stuff, but we're just going easy.
I think even adults would place those eyes too high, I have to say.
Oh, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And then for a mouth, I mean, you can just kind of do this, like they're just smile. Or if they want to do a big, huge, awesome, huge smiley face, and if that's what your kid wants to do, let them do it. That's okay. Okay, now most kids forget eyebrows. So you can say, okay, let's put some eyebrows. And this is all simple, but they can make it their own. The last step here with a self-portrait, hair does not start at the top of the scalp. It starts down here. So I like to, let's draw boys. Well, that looks like a girl. Let's draw a girl. So I'm going to draw like a little 2 lines for a side part, right?
Okay.
I'm going to pull it over and a little above my circle. That's huge. Okay, even for boys. Here, and then say, okay, honey, she's got like a short little bob. Hair goes all the way behind the neck.
Again, you're doing this side by side with her.
I would just go side by side while they draw on the canvas.
We've got our backdrop, we've got our silhouette, and now comes the fun part. About a minute or less. Show us how to fill this in, Laurie.
So Brooke, now that this is here, it's like a paint by number. So I gave you some colors here. And you can just pick up the brush. Now I want to show you one little thing. If you want to give a little bit of definition, if you put your brush in one color and another, so 2 colors, and then you just kind of drag, you're going to see both colors at the same time. This is easy. Then you don't have to talk about blending and layers and how are we going to make sure that we get everything in. So while we're kind of painting,
it's almost like instant definition.
Exactly.
Like shadowing or whatnot.
Yeah. And
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing around
shadowing's perfect. Perfect. We want value changes to make it interesting. Okay, now, and if we had more time, of course, we'd finish this whole thing.
Right.
But what you want to do, and I'm just going to show you right here. Okay, so this part is dry. Once you start painting, and once you get to the end, you can kind of go back again. Let's say we want to add just a little bit of detail. So coloring in is the first step. The second step is adding just a little bit of detail. So maybe I want to do a couple stripes on one of my cactus, and I can go over, and it will show up. And the very last thing I love to do is just a little bit of white. Okay. So pick somewhere, maybe you want to do the little pokey things white. Just add some little highlights, because that always is going to give it sparkle. And then Mom, at the very end, after you painted and you feel like some of the outlines went away when it's totally dry, then Mom can come back in over the kid's original, so it's still there drying, and then Mom, you just come back over
and finish it off.
And look at that, and see how that just brightens it up. And then you've got a finished piece. Make sure to sign your name.
This is awesome.
And it's ready for the wall.
Don't forget the signature, and you have a treasure, a keepsake. I noticed some storybooks sprinkled around. I assume that's good inspiration for kids.
My favorite is storybooks for inspiration. Pick there. This is from our favorite character. And then an animal book. This has great, really simple animals that they can copy.
Okay.
Pinterest is a great idea. You know.
Laura, you're making it easy. You in fact have art kits that you can have just right in your hands to make this guided experience easier.
I do. We have an art school in a box, and this is great if the mom wants to be the art teacher, or if you're doing homeschool and you're looking for art curriculum, then art school is awesome. And if you're just looking for really easy how to draw with your children to make things like this, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Great Artist Mom on YouTube, or go to Great Artist Program for our art school in a box.
This was so fun. Thank you so much for the inspiration.